Everybody, welcome to a Living on Music with Steve Houk. A quick hit. We do a lot of these lately because people are churning back and we want to talk to them. I am extremely excited to have this wonderful lady, Juliet Lloyd. Welcome to Living on Music.
Thank you for having me.
Yay, I'm so glad you're here. We have been in touch because we were both going to be involved with Jim Ebert's Cancer Can Rock Nova Music Fest, which was at the 868 Vineyards, scheduled for about a month ago. And of course, the weather in the mid-Atlantic said, no, and put a big dark cloud over us and we canceled it. But I had gotten to know you, Juliet, through this event. And this is what the beauty of Living on Music is, and just in general, being a music journalist in Washington, is being able to find and discover people that have been around for a while like you, but also that are part of this Washington, D.C. music community. And I first of all, welcome here. I wanted to talk a little bit about, obviously, what's coming up in about a week and a half, which is very exciting. And boy, is it great stuff. I've been listening to your EP High Road for a couple of weeks now, but talk to me a little bit about, you have had a bit of a hiatus from writing and recording, but you've also had a pandemic that you dealt with that might have kicked things back in. So isn't that interesting? How has the pandemic affected where you were and then how you are now, where you are now?
I think that's absolutely right. I think the pandemic, for all of us, right, when there weren't as many opportunities to perform, we had to find other ways to be creative and find other outlets for that creativity. And I think for me, it was also that sense of having something taken away from you and how you find that you value it that much more. And so faced with the prospect of not being able to perform live as much, it's gosh, I really miss this in a way that I wasn't expecting to. And so for me, when venues started opening back up after the pandemic, maybe it's summer of 2020, I found myself in this position where I was getting called to perform a lot more than I had been prior to the pandemic. And I was in this great position of I'm not going to turn anything down. I'm going to say yes to everything.
Right.
And at the same time, I also wrote my very first song in probably 10 years, just coming out of the pandemic. And it is my pandemic song, right? It's about theater being shut down. And really, I think you can extend it to all of the creative arts being shut down. But this particular song, it makes use of a metaphor from theater called Ghost Flight, which Jim also produced. It was my first time working with Jim last fall. And so that kind of kickstarted I do still remember how to write songs, and stuff still comes out, and it's not bad. So, so that was really great.
Not bad is an understatement. The Bernard Ebb songwriting competition is a very well respected and revered annual songwriting competition, recognizes the best songwriting talent, and these two songs won the grand prize.
Ghostlight and High Road.
And there's a reason for it. And I am not blowing smoke when I say that I love the music that has come from this EP. It shows not only what you're doing now, but what you have done over the last 20 years. I think you have been writing, coming from Boston, from Berklee School of Music. You won a songwriting title from WBZ, where I interned as a television guy.
Did you?
Yeah, years before that. I knew BZ very well. So great you had some of that amazing time in Boston. Was that an incredible time to kind of grow your music at the time?
It was, yeah. That was back when I was just fully immersed in it and, trying to make a go of it. And so being at Berklee I was only there for a couple semesters, but I met so many incredible musicians, and they were the folks who played on my first couple of albums. They were the ones that I gigged with regularly. They were the ones who produced my music. And so I think just having that network of people was amazing.
Right. And it became about, I guess, around 2007, you did Leave the Light On, which was really, I love the kudos that you were given by my favorite newspaper in the world, the Boston Globe. It was an astonishingly slick independent CD with a big studio sound. You did the MTV and VH1 involvement. You really had some churning things going along. Then there was a period where you stopped. And was that just because of personal issues? Was that because you wanted to do it and you needed some time to kind of get yourself back on track?
So the timing of that stuff was really interesting because I released Leave the Light On, and
Right.
I, tried to, tour and get some momentum off of that album. And it was a struggle. So this was, you said it was 2007. So social media and all of that was really just in its infancy. And folks weren't really using it to the degree that they are today.
Right.
And it was just it was an uphill battle to have to do everything yourself, right? I
Yes.
didn't have a manager, I didn't have an agent, I was self-published, self-record label,
Right.
everything. And and it got to be a lot. And at the same time, I had a degree in economics that I did before I went to Berkeley. And so part of me kind of felt pulled back into I need to get a real world job.
Yes.
I need to have this sense of accomplishment that I'm like not getting from music. And
Right.
so it's funny because I made the decision to go back to grad school and get a degree in communications because that was the aspect of really just my own work in music that I
Sure.
enjoyed and seemed to
Sure.
have a talent for. And hence the great quotes from the Boston Globe. It was like, hey, I'm doing my job as a PR person. And it wasn't until I was into a couple semesters into grad school when the TV placements happened. So I had sort of firmly made this decision to like, okay, I'm going to step away from music. I'm going to get this real job. And all of a sudden I was getting these messages from people. I didn't know that they were going to be using it. And I started to get this like flood of traffic to my site.
Oh,
And I was getting a lot of iTunes downloads that were from these songs that had been placed in the Hills and a couple of other reality shows.
sure.
But it was funny because it was like it came just, maybe 6 months too late. And I often would think back and say, like, if I had stuck with it a little while longer and that stuff had happened when I was
Right.
in a position to capitalize on it,
Sure.
I wonder how things would have been different. But I was, I was happy with my job. And that's actually when I moved down to DC was just after I finished my grad degree, I got a job down here and so I've been here ever since.
Perfect. And that is something, it's very interesting you bring that up. I had a woman who's a Living on Music Nation member, and she messaged me privately and said, I know you'll know me about music, and my son wants to play drums and wants to play music as he goes to college, but should he be doing something else? And I think in general, everybody's got to have a kind of a plan B, as well as their possible plan A musically. What you have done though with High Road is so wonderful. It must feel now were these songs written, obviously Ghost Town is written pretty directly from what has been going on. Were all these songs written fairly recently around this last couple of years?
Yeah, Ghostlight is of the 5 songs on the EP, that
Ghostlight.
was the earliest one that came out, and everything else has been written since. In fact, we went into the studio to record that in February, and I think 3 out of the 5 songs I wrote in like the 2 weeks leading up to that. I
Oh,
work best under pressure. It's like, okay, I'm going to book the studio time. I'm going to get myself together, and then hopefully the songs will come out, and they
right.
did.
Right. And they came out with just wonderful, wonderful power and sound. I just
Oh,
love
thank
all
you.
of it. I love how Ghostlight says, we said our goodbyes, not knowing when the next hello would come. We're all frozen, waiting in the wings. I'll still be here. And that is wonderful. And many musicians that I've had on Living on Music have, used this time to their positivity when obviously everybody was crushed down by playing live. Now, speaking of playing live, there's a venue behind me
I saw that.
one of your favorites, and it is obviously the Farm Brew Live in Manassas. And there's a number of venues coming up that you have really garnered a wonderful live schedule coming up. It must be really exciting.
It is. It's exciting and a little overwhelming. It's a little exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're playing 4, 5, sometimes looking ahead to the summer, like 6 times a week. And
Wow.
all over too, right? I'm based in Maryland, and I feel like I spend most of my weekends driving back and forth to Northern Virginia.
Right. Are you doing most of these gigs solo or band?
It's a mix of duo and trio
Great.
mostly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. I noticed there seems to be, is there a gig at the Birchmere,
Yes.
which is the Laurel Canyon gig?
Yeah, I have Eric Scott to thank for that. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, he hooked me up with that. I'm so excited to be a part of the group of artists who are going to be in that. And I get to sing Carole King songs, which is so fun.
oh, God, that's perfect. Yeah, that would actually fit your tone wonderfully.
Yeah.
That is the night before a gig that I'll be emceeing. I emceed it last year, and then again, as we said at the beginning of the show, that it got pushed off because of the weather, but we are really excited. It's again the Cancer Can Rock Nova Music Fest, featuring just an incredible lineup of people, and my partner Suzanne and I, the Greek and the Freak, get to do the opening set at 11:30, and we're just stunned because we're being followed by people like you and Eric Scott and Marianne Redmond and Chris Timbers and Tommy Gann and Todd Wright, and it's going to be an amazing experience. What does that mean to you to not only be able to perform at a beautiful venue in a place like that, but also for Cancer Can Rock?
Yeah, I mean, it's such an honor. When Jim asked me to be a part of it a few months ago, it was like a complete no-brainer. Like, absolutely, I'm in. Tell me the date. I'm excited, you know, as disappointing as it was for the date to be moved from May. For me, it's like even better to be in July because my new album will have just come out. My birthday is actually the day after. My birthday's on the 11th.
Oh, so yay!
Many things to celebrate. But no, I love what Jim is doing with Cancer Can Rock. I think it's so cool. I think one of the first places that I volunteered when I was in college was the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And I always just, their mission like always resonated with me so much. And it's like Jim has created this amazing organization that basically takes this premise of like giving opportunities to people, and then you layer the music element on top of that, and it's like just so perfect.
Oh God, that's wonderful. And I'll be talking a little bit about as we go along during the day before I introduce each of you with a little testimonial from musicians that have done it, and it's pretty powerful, moving stuff. And I can't wait to be there to not only perform, which I didn't expect because I didn't do that before, but to see you there live. Everybody, it is, I believe, JulietLloyd.com is your site. And that's where you can find the High Road. And I'm telling you, for somebody who has I love this quote, my dear, this truly is the start of something or the restart of something. It was a quote that you had. And that is, it sounds like a huge restart with High Road, the EP that's due out July 6th. You can see where Juliet is playing on her website. And it is, again, all over the place. In fact, I think, again, that Birchmere is the night before the Cancer Can Rock. So you've got 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and then your birthday. But congratulations for your return to music. It is so exciting to be able to meet you and also see you on July 10th. And congratulations on High Road too, Juliet. And thanks for being on Living on Music.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to see you and get to hear you on the 10th.
My pleasure. And we will see each other on July 10th, everybody. Once again, you can go to cancercanrock.com to events and join us, because again, not only is it an incredible lineup of some of the best musicians in this area that are playing after us, but that are also people you can be there and support. Fabulous organization like Cancer Can Rock. Juliet Lloyd, again, High Road EP out July 6th. We'll see you soon. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.